Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Player Zone YouTube channel. And the Premier League season is about a night or so away now. So I thought, let's go back and do what we did last season. I'll be going through my Premier League predictions for the upcoming year. It is Golden Boot, Golden Glove, Player of the Year, Young Player of the Year, Best Signing, Worst Signing, Manager with the most at stake, Player with the most at stake, and then finishing off with my ladder prediction, which you may have already seen on the podcast earlier in the week. I'll be taking you all through all my thoughts, some of the players, some being quite boring, the choices, because, you know what, a league, it's good, it's a great league, it's a competitive league, but at the end of the day, there's some players that are just next level, and as such, I've gone with some boring answers for these topics and some of these awards here, but let's get straight into it. Same with the Golden Boot, and this is where one of the boring ones comes into it. I've gone with Erling Haaland. Boring, I know, but this guy just gets the job done. 2 years in the Prem, 2 Golden Boots already, and I think he will go and get a third here as well. I'm thinking a massive season yet again, 25 plus goals at least for Erling Haaland this season. I think Man City will be firing. I think they're about their best from the start of the season. Used to having slow starts. I think they'll have a semi-slow start, but I reckon they'll be hitting their straps and firing very early in this season. I think Erling Haaland will be on song yet again. You know, we think about last season, a few people were questioning his form and his consistency, and yet he still won the Golden Boot and won it quite easily. 27 goals, I believe, and he missed some large periods with injury as well. He's just a machine. He scores in clumps. He scores big goals as well. And I just feel like this year he'll walk away with the award. At the start of the year, maybe I'm thinking the first half, Mo Salah might be with him toe-to-toe, but come the second half of the year, I think Erling Haaland will just blow him out the water. And similar with Manchester City, they'll go flying towards another trophy, and Erling Haaland will, for me, win the Golden Boot. Coming to the Golden Glove, and I was sort of tossing up here between Onana and David Raya, and I ended up going with David Raya. I just think both teams have great defences. As the current recorder, Nazar Mazraoui and Matheus de Ligt look like they're joining Manchester United to bolster alongside Lenny Yoro, Martinez, and the already established, Luke Shaw, Diogo Dalot as well. So United have a great defence. I think Andre Onana is a fantastic goalkeeper as well, and I expect United to go back to that first season under Erik ten Hag, defensively solid, consistent at the back, and not conceding many chances nor shots on goal. And I think Andre Onana, we saw towards the back end of last season, was making some fantastic reaction and one-on-one saves. I think United will be very solid and consistent in terms of clean sheets and defensively. But I think I'll go with David Raya just because of how good Arsenal have been, how consistent they've been over the last 2 and a bit years. Best defence in the league last season. Gabriel and Saliba, the best centre-back combination in the world. He had a Calafiori in there alongside the Jakub Kiwiors, Takehiro Tomiyasu's, Jurrien Timber coming out from injury as well. You've got Ben White. You've got Declan Rice sitting in front of this back line as well. It's a very, very consistent and solid Arsenal side that doesn't concede many chances at all, let alone cheap goals as well. And I think David Raya, yes, he's not the best shot stopper, but he does enough. And I think considering the type of football Arsenal play is awesome for that side. And when he's caught up to action, he normally meets it and makes a big save when it comes down to it. So I think David Raya will go back-to-back with a Golden Glove. And once again, Arsenal will keep the most clean sheets in the Premier League. Coming to Player of the Year now. And I feel like I said a few weeks ago on the podcast, we're going to go back to the 2020, 2021, 2022 season where these type of players dominate. I'm thinking the Jack Grealishes, Bruno Fernandes, Mo Salah, Virgil van Dijk, Trent Alexander-Arnold. And I think the winner will be Kevin De Bruyne. I feel like he's going to come for vengeance this season. Well, didn't have a bad year at all, but missed a large portion of the injury. Wasn't quite at the best I think he's possibly been in his career. And it feels a little bit like a last dance for him and Pep Guardiola potentially both leaving Manchester City come season's end. So I'm expecting a massive season for Kevin De Bruyne. I'm thinking 10 goals, 15 plus assists type ridiculous numbers this year. And I feel like he'll do that and dominate and be pivotal to Manchester City going and having another fantastic season. We know at his best what he can do. And I feel like he would have taken a little bit personal that it was taken away from him, and Phil Foden and Bernardo Silva and Rodri all getting the props recently. And maybe I'm just reading into it too much, but he'd want to be the number one guy. I feel like this sort of generation of the Premier League has been his era, and I feel like he'll want to continue or either finish on the high, winning the Player of the Year. And I think he'll just be incredible this season. I think he'll stay away from being injured. I think he'll be super consistent, and I think he'll be the centerpiece of why City will be so good this season. I've got him winning the Player of the Year. I think Bruno Fernandes will be up there as well, as I said, the Virgil van Dijks. I'm feeling like I feel the older heads from a few years back will all be competing and all be their best this season, competing for that Player of the Year award. But I think Kevin De Bruyne gets over the line with what I will put up there as maybe an historic season in terms of stats and output for him this year. Coming to the Young Player of the Year, and I feel like this guy just about deserved it last year. There's so many young players that were good last season. I think Kobbie Mainoo wins the award this year. Fantastic last season, coming in and basically saving Manchester United's season with injuries, with problems. Casemiro looking totally off it. Players missing that, yet to have a makeshift midfield. Amrabat playing some games. Some games, not at all. It was a really, really team that lacked continuity. Scott McTominay's in for some games. You lose Fred from the season before. The one constant I felt like was Kobbie Mainoo, and his quality on the ball was second to none. Lovely in tight areas, can deal with a press, play out of a press, can win the ball back himself and drive the ball forward, and some fantastic goals. Match that Wolves goal, that solo effort, the goal against Liverpool or the Premier League, swivelling and whipping that ball into the top right-hand corner, and then scoring the FA Cup final as well. He had a fantastic year, just overshadowed by how good Cole Palmer, Phil Foden, and other young players in the league were as well. But I feel like this year is Kobbie Mainoo's year. I think Manchester United, with a lot more consistency and continuity this season under Erik ten Hag and less injuries, will bolster Kobbie Mainoo's performances. Playing alongside Casemiro will allow him to be a bit more freed up. We saw how good he was at the Euros with Declan Rice alongside him. I feel like he'll play in a very similar mould here, winning that ball back, driving to spaces, being really, really pivotal in terms of breaking down a low block and using his smarts on the ball to get chances for himself or for his other teammates. And I feel like United will thrive with Kobbie Mainoo sort of pulling the strings in a deeper role there at the centre of the midfield for Manchester United. So I feel like he'll win the Young Player of the Year. Coming to best signing, and I feel like it's going to be Savinho or Savio, however you want to say it, from Girona. Fantastic year last year. Really liked what he did. Yes, some of the Emperor was a little bit missing, and some people are saying he doesn't feel like a City signing. But I think this is the type of player City need. Doku came to the side last season in a very similar mould. We didn't think he'd fit, but was fantastic at his best and really added a difference to that Man City side. It's something they don't really have much often, that direct bar line type winger that can skip past defenders, uses trickery, and can create things that are nothing. I think Savio will be that player for them. As I'm sort of hinting, I think Man City will have a fantastic year. I think they will really, really dominate this season in what could be Pep's last year. And I feel like Savio will thrive as well. Does Jack Grealish start? Does he start? Does he get over Doku? Like, what we've seen so far in pre-season has been really, really impressive. And what I saw from him last year, I was super impressed with. The Brazilian's very smart. He picks the right times to dribble past defenders. He knows when to link the play up. Yes, the passing and the finish and the final product is probably not at a Man City level or standard, but he works hard without the ball, and when he's got the ball, he can make magic happen. I feel like sometimes for City, they're so regimented and so focused on the inverting the fullbacks, playing these half spaces, playing the tiki-taka style of Pep Guardiola possession football, that someone like a Savio or what we saw with Doku last season, they can change it up and be a positive. I think Savio will add that to Manchester City. He'll add a different dimension, like what Leroy Sané and Raheem Sterling had early in the Pep Guardiola era, and I feel like he'll flourish this side and really boost them up the table. He might not play every game, but when he does, I think his impact will be pivotal, and as such, I've got him being the best signing of the year. Coming to the worst signing, I think it'll be Pedro Neto. Absolutely love the player, but I feel like the injuries will really catch up with him. And I feel like at Chelsea, it's really hard. Once you're injured once, how do you come back into a side where there's about 40 players there? So it's going to be hard to really keep your spot. There's a lot of moving pieces currently at Chelsea. I think it's going to be a very hard team to flourish in and really thrive. I think it's a really great player, Pedro Neto. Will he suit this Chelsea system? It looks like on paper he should. But we've seen players go there and really struggle, and it seems like a bit of a toxic environment. If Maresca can change that, if he can work to fit Pedro Neto in to play like Fatawu and Mavididi did last season for Leicester, it'll be a great year. But can he stay fit? Can he flourish in this system? And can he deal with the pressure of Chelsea? I think it might be a little bit too much, whether it be an early injury or being dropped early in the season. I think it's going to be a really tough year for Pedro Neto. And because of the money they spent, around £60 million for him, I think he'll become the worst signing of the summer. Coming to the manager with the most at stake, I think it's pretty obvious. Erik ten Hag got the new deal, backed by Ineos. So a lot of money looks like they're going to spend in him in the end. I feel like if injuries are not to deal with this season, there's a lot of pressure for him to be successful. Top four, maybe a Europa League trophy, potentially another back-to-back FA Cup trophy. You expect some sort of success this season under Erik ten Hag, and you expect the football to start looking like what was promised when he came to the project. I still believe in Ten Hag and what he does. Last season, I feel like is a bit of a bypass because of all the injuries and all the problems going on, not only in the club but outside the club, and with the players and players not at the club. It was all a bit of a shambles. This year looks a little bit better, new ownership, some great signings, focus on the football, and that's, I think, the pressure will be on him to get the job done. Do I think he'll be sacked first? No. I think probably the first manager to be sacked this season for me will probably be Enzo Maresca. I think the Chelsea job is just walking into a death trap in many regards. I think it's just too much going on. 40 players at the club. I don't know how he's going to balance all these names and these egos, and I feel like he's just a man walking a tightrope, and I feel like it won't end well for him there. As I think he'll be the first manager sacked, unfortunately. I just don't think Chelsea will be as good as everyone thinks they will this season. Obviously, them struggle already in pre-season. It takes a while for the manager to get to know his players and the players to get to know the style of football the manager wants to implement. So starting again under another manager, fifth, I think, in the last 3 years, just too much to me. I think he'll fail at Chelsea with the first one sacked. And on a similar note, player with the most at stake, someone I touched on, the 5 players to watch this season, Enzo Fernandez. I think this will be one of the greatest wastes of money of all time. We've got some great, poor transfers in the history of football. This one might be underspoken about. Came in off a fantastic World Cup for a lot of money. Supposed to revolutionise our midfield with Chelsea, especially that more modern day midfielder that can defend and carry the ball forward. He's a bit of a bully in midfield, but he's that centrepiece, that cog that gets the team turning over. But I reckon I could name 8 or 9 players that do a better job than Enzo Fernandez does in that position. And I think he's so important. Him alongside Caicedo and also Lavia will be the cogs that get Chelsea turning this season. If they want to be successful, you've got to show up the middle of the park. I feel like last season, I said it a few times, he was good for one great game in every 4. That's not good enough for the 100 million plus euros you spent on him. You've got to get a player that's playing consistently 7 out of 10 or above every single night, every single day step on the pitch. But he was just not good enough. He'd put up a 10 out of 10 once a month and then go and drop 4s and 5s in other games and just look lost and look dejected and have his head down and not too worried about fighting opposition and actually working with his team to try and progress the team and try and be that leader in the group, because right now he is one of the leaders because he's been there for one of the longest times out of all the players at Chelsea. So a big season for him this year. I've been really, really critical on him, but I think validly so. No one's talked about how much money they've spent and how much they've invested in this player and him being the centre of this project, but he hasn't lived up to expectations at all. I feel like that's the hole right now for Chelsea in the middle of the park, and he's not lived up to expectations at all since joining from Chelsea. Now running through my ladder, quickly here, obviously, if you'd watched the podcast, you know how I've put together my ladder, but just reiterating it here, my relegation side's gone. Ipswich has finished bottom. I just think Kieran McKenna will get found out with his style of football. We saw a company last year. I respect managers that go after the game and try and stick to their philosophy, but doesn't quite work. And Ipswich just don't have any real Premier League proven talent to go and do what they do in the Premier League. I said in the podcast, Luton brought across Townsend and the loanee from Man City, like Adebayo, and also Ross Barkley, Alfie Doughty, alongside Sambi Lokonga, Premier League talent. They were the best players. Ipswich have not brought any Premier League proven or Premier League quality players, and that's something they'll struggle. They'll finish bottom. I think Southampton will finish second bottom. For me, the squad's just not good enough. Not enough talent there. There's some exciting talent there, some young players, but again, similar with Russell Martin, has not experienced the Premier League. I think it'll be a real just rude awakening when they get there. They're not quite ready. They scrape through the Championship playoff. They were not really consistent throughout the Championship season. Definitely not the third best team in the Championship, yet they still came up. So I think that squad's still lacking in areas. Ben Bertrandez is a great signing. There's some good players in that group. I think that's not good enough again for the Premier League. And for me, Everton's a surprise team that you might not expect. I got them going down as well. I think Sean Dyche, his philosophy and way of football and defensive counter-attack styles is slowly fading out, and the margin for error every season gets smaller and smaller to play that style of football and still win games. And I feel like this season they'll run out of luck, and finally, after so many years battling relegation, Everton will go down. And especially if they get this points deduction on top, I think they'll definitely go down this year and be a team they'll have to rebuild for the Championship, because I feel like this team is in a weird state. You've lost some key players. I think Amadou Nana is a massive loss. Depth like Godfrey, at the back you've lost as well, and I just feel like this team's in a bit of a transitional phase. There's no real clinical number 9. Dominic Calvert-Lewin's injured too much. Beto isn't good enough for me. You've got McNeil and Harrison, who for me were good last season, but can they be anywhere near that this season? I don't think so. It's just a real relegation style squad, so I don't think they'll do very well this season. I got them finishing 18th. In terms of near relegation but not going down, got Nottingham Forest, Nottingham Forest in 17th, Leicester in 16th, Brighton in 15th, Brentford in 14th. All these teams think they'll be okay. I back their managers in to get the job done. I am worried a little bit about Brighton and Hertzler coming across to St. Pauli. Obviously got it down in the Bundesliga too and played fantastic football, utilising overloading the wide areas and the half spaces. But he's a very young Brighton team that lacks a lot of experience. He's not very experienced as well. And it's going to be a real tough start for them. But if they can get through that early tough period and gel as a squad and like Valentin Barco and Jakub Minter as well start to get to grips with the Premier League, you get goals from Evan Ferguson or Danny Welbeck, I think they'll be okay. But it's going to be a tough early period to get the new system implemented, to get these young players playing together and to shore up the middle of the park. They really, really lack quality in the middle of the park now that Pascal Gross is gone. I think Nottingham Forest will be fine, Leicester will be fine despite changes around the club. Nottingham Forest losing a lot of players and lacking a lot of depth, but I think they have enough there, like Anthony Elanga, Hudson-Odoi, Morgan Gibbs-White to go over the line. Same with Leicester, enough players there to get the job done, but I'm worried that without Maresca there and without Drewsbury Hall was pivotal to them last season, they might struggle a little bit. Brentford as well, a lot of striking options. If Tony stays, that's fantastic for them. I'm just don't know if there's any more we can get out of this Brentford side. I think they're sort of maxing out. I'd love to see the defence improve this season. That was probably their weakest point last year. So I want to see them get to their best and then Thomas Frank assert himself as that real manager that makes it hard to beat at home. They can get the home form back. They can get the defensive solidity back and they'll well and surely be amongst mid-table. That next sort of group, Wolves 13th, Bournemouth 12th, Fulham 11th and Crystal Palace 10th. Again, all teams in very similar moulds. Wolves probably closer to going and joining the other bottom bunch. Gary O'Neill hasn't made much signings at the current point in time to replace Pedro Neto. Antonio Silva comes back and like Geds comes back as well. But there's no real clinical number 9. Hwang Hee-chan is going to be the big man for them, try and get all the job done. Pablo Sarabia to impact from the bench. A lot falls on Gomez as well. João Gomez in midfield to create in that sort of number 8 type mold and also cover off defensively. But the big loss is losing Kilman at the back as well. Losing your focus about your captain, losing Dawson, Kilman, and also Collins across the last 3 seasons is massive losses as well. You lose that identity at the back. So for me, they definitely need to replace the centre-back at this current point in time. I'm backing they'll do that. And for me as well, the reason I got them 13th is just Gary O'Neill knows that it gets results, and I feel like he's a man that grinds it out. Yes, they did struggle come the back end of last season, but you know how he started off last season with his back against the wall of Wolves as well. I thought going down without Lopetegui was leaving the club, not many signings were made, yet Gary O'Neill got over the line last year, and I feel like he'll do a very similar thing and finish around that mid-table in the 13th spot. Bournemouth 12th, losing Solanke is a big loss for them, but I back Andoni Iraola, and we know, if you know the channel, you know how much I love him. Fulham in 11th, I love Emile Smith-Rowe, the signing. Yes, they lose a fair bit of talent, though. Adarabioyo goes as well, Bobby De Cordova, Reid goes to Leicester, so you're losing a lot of talent, and also Palhinha is the big loss, but I think Scott McTominay should be going to Fulham. They'll shore up a few signings at the back, especially to recover off for Adarabioyo and Tim Ream. I think it'll be just more of a consolidation season for them, and they need to rely on Muniz to score goals consistently, or Raul Jimenez to find the back of the net, to find that form from 3 to 4 years ago before that really sad head injury for him. And for me, Crystal Palace under Oliver Glasner continue to rise up the table and finish in 10th this season. Not quite in that top 9 pack, who I think in a bit of their world of their own, but I think Palace are the best of the rest in many regards. A lot of good talent there. Ismail Assar, excited to see him come across. If they keep Gahey, Anderson and Wharton, that sort of just core of the park, the 3 there, they're really, really good defensively, and Wharton is fantastic going forward as well. I love Adam Wharton as well. Eberechi Eze still at the club despite losing Elise. I think they're still going to have enough talent with Eze and Mateta up top, so I back them in as well. So I think they'll finish 10th. Newcastle 9th, I think they're not quite the teams above them. Had quite a poor, quiet transfer window. Only Lloyd Kelly and Lewis Hall joined. Yes, they've got Alexander Isak. Yes, they've got quality in midfield with Bruno Guimaraes and Sandro Tonali, but I feel like they're just not quite the quality of team of the teams above them. But Chelsea in 8th, I think, as I said, I think Enzo Maresca will struggle to get the grips with this team and implement his style of football amongst 40 different players. There's a lot to deal with. I think it's just a really toxic environment. I can't imagine them being very successful this season. Then they'll start really, really poor, but then claw their way back up into 8th. Got West Ham finishing 7th. Fantastic signings. Got Fulkrug, Somerville, Max Kilman, Tadibo joining as well. Rodriguez on a free transfer. That front four is going to be fantastic. Jared Bowen on the right, Fulkrug up top, with Kudus in the number 10 spot and Lucas Paquetá on the left, with you think Edson Alvarez alongside Rodriguez in the centre of the park holding it down. And then the two centre-backs, Sadibo alongside Kilman. You address your major problem last season, which is the centre-backs, and they've gone and addressed that. So a fantastic summer for West Ham. I think they'll flourish under Lopetegui's management. A very similar management to David Moyes. I feel like it's an easy correlation for those players to adjust to. Going to the top 6 now, I've got Tottenham in 6 for me. I think some good signings. Archie Gray, Dom Solanke's a great signing. Finally, number 9 at Tottenham. I think they've got a good enough squad, but with Ange's style of football, it's going to be very draining in them, especially with Champions League football. I think they won't be able to get back in the top 4, but I think they'll be around the place and finishing 6th. Got Aston Villa 5th, again, managing Champions League, a bit of a problem for them, but once again, they're another team to address their problems. Ian Matson coming at left back, Ross Barkley coming in alongside Amadou Onana to replace the missing Douglas Luiz, who went to Juventus. Obviously, Kamara as well, he's going to be injured for a fair bit, but you get Emi Buendia back from injury. Ealing Jr. comes from Juventus as well. I think Morgan Rogers will have a fantastic season in that sort of left attacking midfield position. Obviously, know how good Ollie Watkins was last. I think he'll continue his form. And Unai Emery, you trust that man at the helm. He does so much great work. And since he's come to the Premier League, back with Aston Villa, they're probably one of the top 4 sides in the league since he rejoined. So they'll be good again, but just I think they'll miss out on the top 4. In 4th, Man United, I think Erik ten Hag will get back to his best with De Ligt, Yoro, Martinez, Mazraoui, Dalot, Luke Shaw, Harry Amass as defensive cover finally. That was a real problem for Manchester United last season. Andre Onana seems like he's getting back in form in goal. The midfield, you've got Toby Collier coming through the ranks, Kobe Mainoo. I think Bruno Fernandes will have another fantastic year, back to his best. Casemiro, with a pre-season under his legs, hopefully looks much better than he was in the past. And apparently, from the currently, as we currently stand, Ugarte or Zubimendi looks like they're close to joining Manchester United as well. And you look up top, Rasmus Holler, Joshua Zirkzee, Amad Diallo, Alejandro Garnacho. The names go on and on and on. And it looks like there's enough talent to get the job done this season. Then it's sort of another realm of their own. The top 3 are in a different just stratosphere. These guys are elite teams. I've got Liverpool finishing 3rd. Not quite close enough to bridge that gap to Arsenal or Man City. I think Arne Slot will do very well this season. People are heavily underrating the Liverpool side. They've been fantastic in pre-season. I think Núñez will finally not be the striker we'll thought of, but I think he'll start hitting his straps and score more consistently. I think Mo Salah will be back to his best. Virgil van Dijk will hold it down. Trent Alexander-Arnold will hold it down. Had so many problems with injuries last season. If they get Zubimendi alongside Alexis McAllister, probably one of the best duos in midfields in the Premier League. They're definitely going for number 6. I love seeing Alexis McAllister in a number 8 role. You still got Gravenberch and Szoboszlai, who need to be improved from last season. If Diogo Jota stays fit, they're going to be really, really exciting to watch. I think Liverpool will be a real danger this season. They'll be in the title race, similar to last year, but not quite the top 2. Got Arsenal in 2nd. I think they're another fantastic team. Arteta's really great, but they're not Man City and Pep Guardiola. I think will just be crazy this year. As I sort of mentioned already, Erling Haaland I think will dominate. I think Kevin De Bruyne will be back to his best. You've got that back four that's so versatile. John Stones, Diaz, Akanji, Vardiol, Ake, Walker, and the guys came through. Rico Lewis, Oscar Bob look fantastic in pre-season. Looks like they're trusting in McAtee as well. So much talent. Rodri doesn't lose games of football. Just such a great signing. They would dominate the league and they'll run away with it a little bit. I'm just thinking a 6+ point differential at the top of the league this season. I think they're going to be that good this season. Don't get me wrong, Liverpool and Arsenal will push them for most of the year, but I think they'll stretch their legs and show why they're the best team in Europe and the best team in the world, Man City. So got Man City winning it, Arsenal in 2nd, Liverpool in 3rd, United in 4th, with Villa 5th, Tottenham 6th, and West Ham 7th. And then the bottom 3, Everton, Southampton, Ipswich for me. And just revising all the other awards: Golden Boot, Erling Haaland; Golden Glove, David Raya; Player of the Year, Kevin De Bruyne; Young Player of the Year, Kobe Mainoo; Best signing, Savinho; Worst signing, Pedro Neto; Manager with the most at stake, Erik ten Hag, with Enzo Maresca, the first manager sacked, I believe. And player with the most at stake is Enzo Fernandez. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section down below. Do you think I've got these right? What are your thoughts on my calls? How do you see some of these awards? Let me know that all in the comment section down below. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe, press that post notification bell. If you enjoyed the video, smash a like on it. That would be much appreciated. We're on the road to 1K here as the season gets underway, and any new subscribers would be much appreciated. With that being said, guys, I hope you enjoy the build-up to the Premier League season. Hope you have a great week today, and I'll see you guys in the video very, very soon. Till next time, guys. See you later.